Nama sejahtera yang meninggal, and here's another video for the HiAniView series, and this time rather than focusing on making a bunch of short review for a bunch of anime in one season, this time I just want to kick back and try focusing on one anime, doesn't matter the age or the season of the anime, and I will try to make a review in the most insanely, crappiest, laid back way as possible, and I'm planning to do the same thing for my recommended M series. So without further ado, the first victim that I'm going to butcher in this new series is Goito Uso. Goito Uso is an anime that made in the summer season last year, and it's an anime that are not that popular among the casual anime fan unless if you are a single romance seeker scum like me, then you will never heard it before or haven't heard it before but don't have any interest to watch it. So for that, here's a quick summary about the anime. But before that, spoiler alright, obviously. And also, I just want to give a little bit moment for that ear-warming upbeat OP song that was made by Frederick and that tremendously goddess of the goddess beautiful looking outside. First, let's lay out the story. Goito Uso, also known as Love and Lies, created by mangaka Musao Sensei, is a story that sets in the modern era of Japan where the birth rate has declined very drastically, that the government have implemented a program called the Red Thread of Science. Yeah, I know it sounds very intelligent. Where the government takes two separate individuals with different sex, of course, will get paired, and when they reach at the age of 16, based out of data and some other random bullshit of information like height, blood type, hobby, and compatibility. You mean like you can get paired with a fucking murderer because you both have a hobby of knitting? Makes sense. In this show, the people are so lazy and doesn't have any interest in relationship at all until the government have to take initiative to have them fuck each other up. It's much worse than real life, and real life is already in its worst condition already. However, the story is focusing on a young boy named Yukari Nejima who have fallen in love with a young girl named Misaki Takasaki, who by the way, voiced by Kana Hanazawa, a huge bonus for the scoreboard. As Nejima found out that Takasaki is also fallen in love with him, they decided to make out, but all of a sudden, at the same moment, he has just received his government notice in his phone that the government has already found a partner for him, and it's turned out to be Takasaki at first, but as the real notice that was sent by the government representative, it was revealed that his partner was someone else, and that person is Riwina Sarada. Now, just by that simplified version of the story, it already has an interesting plot and it already set itself for a great romance story despite it has that nisekoi smell to it. But nevertheless, it's a little bit interesting and a little bit different by using a real life current situation and problem in Japan and try to open up a story by using that problem. Not only it created a more semi-realistic story, it can also give a little bit commentary towards the situation and can also inform the people outside of Japan the current state of Japan, i.e. in the story, the declining birth rate in Japan. Also it fits in with the whole narrative of the story. Take it like whatever situation. In retrospect, it's different than what we usually get from other romance anime in terms of world setting and plot story. At the very least, it has more interesting plot and more better story than Kuzuno Honkai, which I'm going to butcher you later. Musao Sensei does make a great job on progressing the story and try to not make generic as the other romance drama soldier story, and that's undoubtedly, I don't have any complaint for the story so far. There are some, but I will going to do that later. Anyway, as a long time reader of the manga, I was really excited when it got an anime adaptation last year. The anime adaptation made by the studio Leidens Films and directed by Seiki Takuno had also done good job on adapting the story, but not without some noticeability and really big flaws. But first, let's talk about the thing that did right. Now, in my opinion, what led me to read the manga in the first place is that beautiful ass art style. In the manga, it has an art style that resembles the early KyoAni art style, for example Lucky Star and Planet, or the one from the 80s and the 90s, but a more modernized version. You can tell that from how fucking big they are, but because of that, the art style has a more authentic and has a more aesthetic feel to it. Every page turned in the manga and every panel gave more in-depth in details and enhanced the enjoyment and emotion while reading thanks to its art style. Every part of it is its own masterpiece of its own, and it came to me as shock on how perfectly they captured that feeling and the art style and bringing it into the anime. And this is great since what makes the original manga so great, like I mentioned before, is in its art style. You also managed to bring and enhance the atmosphere and the vibe from the original manga with adding in some beautiful effect, steady editing, and the general art direction that they have going throughout the season, which in my opinion makes a good adaptation art style wise. I mean, just look at the fucking background, man. I mean, who can draw a background that good? The music and the score in the anime are mostly comprised of orchestral ambience-based music with adding a little bit of some wanky sounded score just for the occasional awkward funny moment. To me, with the beautiful and elegant ambient sound-based music in every each score is fitting with the anime, as the story tends to focus more on the romance right away, and because of that, I really do like and enjoy most of the score in this anime since I'm an ambience guy myself. And again, the score really helped a lot on supporting the more beautiful scene as it's adding a lot of impact and a lot of weight into it. Not one score which I deem as bad, but there are some of them came across to me as unmemorable, as some of them tend to sound almost similar to each other, but the ones that are unique and stand out have never failed me to keep me enjoyed and attached to the story. However, the layout of the score within the scene that is accompanied with is a little bit of off-putting, as some of the score tend to be stretched longer than it should be, meaning that despite after the dramatic scene has already ended and are transitioning into a comedic scene, the same score from that dramatic scene is still kept playing on until the end of that comedic scene, which is weird since it ruins the comedic delivery and make the punchline that were delivered less impactful, but nevertheless the score are still great. Now, I do have to give a huge respect and applaud to the studio for actually making a new score for each different episode, and I have never reused or replayed the same score from previous episode, which some anime tends to do it, but it does take away the individuality of the anime and making it doesn't have any standalone distinctive sound for it to remember by the viewer that are watching the anime. But regardless, the anime still have a lot of great sound and score nevertheless. As for the voice acting, everyone did a great job on it. They all sound like I was expected it to be, especially Nisaka, who acted by Shina Tachibana, is really spot on. But I think the character that really shine out are Takasaki, who was acted by Kanazawa like I mentioned before, and Rumina, who voice acted by Yui Makino, is in performance wise. I mean, it's Kanazawa, man, you know, it's kinda, she's the queen. Kanazawa. Personally, I don't like to rank them because all of them did a very good job, but Nejima, who voice acted by Roita Osaka, is pretty okay. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad, but it does sound like he has your typical MC from a isekai visual novel in my opinion. In terms of what I can say good things about the anime is only that. Now from here on out, I'm going to spit my frustrated emotion towards the anime, so just bear with me. And also from here, it's just going to be a massive spoiler up ahead, so I suggest you guys to click away this video if you haven't watched the anime yet, and watch the anime first before you guys proceed watching this video, because I don't want you guys experience ruin all because of me, unless if you don't care about it and I just wanted to know some opinion about this anime. Then proceed into the video. You do what you have to do, but trust me, what I'm about to barf out is my raw frustrated emotion and feelings toward the anime and what this anime has done to me, because I never in my life feel this frustrated on a romance anime. And I watched Kuzuno Honkai and what album for God's sake, but this anime just takes the cake. Also another heads up that for the manga, I only read the manga up until before the event of the ending of this anime takes part. Just letting you guys know so that I have a reason to support my frustration, and I'm sorry for not keeping up with the manga. Also, I know that the manga is still ongoing, but I'm just going to complain the anime and where it headed and how it adapted and not the manga. The manga is great, but the one I'm going to complain is the anime and not the manga and not the story. I mean, maybe the story. Just keep them in mind. We're cool? Cool? Okay. Now, for the most part, I don't have any complaint with the pacing of the anime, despite some of them feel a little bit rushed out, especially about Renina, which I'm going to talk about that later. But my biggest problem here is the pacing of the character development, specifically Sasaki. Sasaki most part is your typical cool guy of the show, but in the original manga, they teased Sasaki as having problem with the relationship between Nejima and Takasaki by showing him feel jealous or frustrated when every time Takasaki and Nejima were together, and the manga tend to focus on Takasaki when that happened, and even it's shown in the OP of the anime, thus leading to some possibility that maybe Sasaki is jealous towards Nejima for having a relationship with Takasaki, and that maybe both of them fall in love with Takasaki. Hence why he don't want to talk to Nejima about Nejima's relationship with Takasaki only when it's needed for, or maybe that Takasaki and Sasaki were ex-couple, or maybe that Sasaki has known Takasaki for a long time and just try to avoid Nejima to have problem with Takasaki, as to worry if Takasaki did a bad thing to Nejima, since Nejima is Sasaki's best friend, as evidenced in the anime when every time they meet up. In short, with that teasing, the story can go for many ways, but in the anime episode 3 they just shove it into your face that Sasaki has feeling for Nejima. What the Look, I already acknowledged the possibility that maybe Sasaki is falling in love with Nejima, but the manga makes it seem that it's not the case. But the anime just went on full United States of Smash right into my ass. They could have just waited for it and maybe stored it until episode 6 or something, cause if they waited long enough and added some build up, that kissing on that episode would have been a lot more impactful. Hot damn! Also the introduction of side characters, most of them are introduced way too early without any build up, so it's kind of frustrating me because the manga actually built the side characters show their role early on before they really shown up. As you well know, the theme of the show is shown right there on the title, Love's a Lie. Meaning it dwells around the topic of how people are willing to lie about themselves just for the sake to see the person that they love happy. Alright, a good theme, very simple and understandable and not that complicated. Also, the situation of the story really fits in with the theme, as random teenagers got paired up manually and make it seem like they have to go through a fake love and have to lie themselves that they fall in love with each other, especially if they already found their true love. For example here, Takasaki and Nejima. Okay, cool. But why the fuck there are only two characters that fulfill the theme correctly? Sasaki and Takasaki in particular is the only two characters that really holds the theme right from the core. Meanwhile, the other character only half-assed it. Even the MC of the anime, fucking Nejima. Well, you could say that Ririna has that fair share of that loves and lies theme in her, and that she does the same thing as what Takasaki did and suffer along with her. Me with that bullshit. Ririna only came to the realization of her falling in love with Nejima not until the last 3 episodes of the anime, which is bullshit. But to say that Ririna fits in, meanwhile Takasaki have been falling in love with Nejima ever since fucking elementary. The same goes to Nejima, not only his fucking dance, but he's also a dumbass. I'm going to continue talking about him in the next section, but for now, let's come back to Sasaki, the second great character of the show. In short, not only is going through that what Takasaki has been going through ever since middle school, but he also need to hide the fact that he is gay for Nejima. Oh, that's gonna be it. If I were in his shoe, but also he is then have to help Nejima and give him advice and aid him on his relationship problem between Ririna and Takasaki, which is thankful to her. Takasaki wish she does the same thing, but instead she's helping Ririna on her relationship with Nejima. As this happens, I can feel every piece of my heart's breaking, but then the ending came and it's a piece of shit. The ending, oh, the ending, man. That fucking ending. The ending was a clusterfuck of ending. Oof. Oh, but first let's step back a little bit from the beginning of the episode 12. Even before that, let's talk about the stream of particular event happened up until before episode 12. Is that first, Nejima is confused about his feeling towards Ririna and it wasn't certain about his relationship with Ririna, but still acknowledged that he has sort of have feeling for Ririna. Then Takasaki is ready to move on with her life and Sasaki already got stabbed in the heart to death. Metaphorically. After all of this, Nejima got invited by Ririna's parents to stay in an inn for the holiday, and as predicted, Ririna and Nejima stay in the same room since they are partners. As night arrived, Ririna confirmed to Nejima that Nejima should pick Takasaki, which is nice. They could end it then, call it a night and just sleep. But fuck no, all of a sudden Ririna has a wild idea all of a sudden that she's want to practice kissing with Nejima as to prepare for her real partner in the future. As they passionately kissing, Nejima confirmed that he is really falling in love with Ririna and don't want anyone to have her. And Takasaki? The fuck? Talk about greedy. I don't know whether it's the anime or the story but as a whole, because again, I haven't read up until the part, but by the time Hirugaki scenes end, I'm already dried up like a sack of prune that got dried up in the middle of the Sahara Desert from crying sad tear. I know it seems like I'm more on Takasaki's side, but I wouldn't have been on her side if it wasn't the fact that they keep building the shit up between Takasaki and Nejima. All of a sudden, in the end, they turned 180 degrees and decided to turn into a fucking love rule like... To be fair, right? I already prepared that Najima is going to pick Priminara because that's the universal rule of anime, is that letting weird color as hair girl or blonde girl win and don't ever let the normal black color hair or blue hair girl win, just like in any other anime with some few exceptions. Like, as a story, right, in my opinion, making Najima choose both rather than one is just destroy the whole purpose of the team and the character, except for Sasaki because my boy suffered the most. Plus, this show already established some great strong character and some good relationship, but I just went straight out the fucking window. Unlike in Niseko where the MC is dense as fuck and the other females is just dances as him, as every heroine in that show doesn't know that all of them like the same guy, but these shows have already established that the two main heroines, both of them know that they like the same guy and that they're letting each other known straightforward with no secret. That alone already established that both of them have a sense of strength with some few exceptions for Rina. As we talk about her character is the most confusing one. At first, he doesn't like Nejima and just wanted to help Takasaki on her love towards Nejima, but all of a sudden, she's going through some shit with Nejima because of that fucking program that made by the government, and then she started to have feelings to Nejima, but also at the same time she still wanted to help Takasaki, but then all of a sudden she has overhealed for Nejima and then she has really wanted to be with Nejima, but at the same time she still wanted to protect Takasaki alongside Nejima now, but then proceed to kiss passionately with Nejima without letting Takasaki know, like woman, just pick one. Piece back your mind already. And you, Nejima, just pick one also. I know it's all to let one of them go, but you eventually need to pick one. This is not love rule, man. You are a realistic shoujo anime, not fucking a girl falling down from the sky and hits you. That part and the ending particularly really destroys and weakens all the character, well, except Sasaki. In the end, Sasaki is the one who is still standing strong. And Sasaki, my boy, hang in there. That are bound to have a dodging about you and Nejima somewhere. However, as a story as a whole, there is where I stand, but I digress because since I never continue reading up Koito, so I might be changing my opinion later on as I started to continue reading it back. As an anime though, leaving the anime and it there, having Nejima just claim that he wants both of them, it just really frustrated me. And you know, another thing is that at the ending, Rumina character changed so drastically that you can't even see her passing by. As an anime though, leaving the anime and there just leave a bad aftertaste in my salty mouth for me, and I just never been this salty ever since Kusunoke. And I get it, the manga is still ongoing and they don't want to be too conclusive with the ending, but I'm okay if they just pull off a Marvel and have a tease at the end, so, or just have an extra scene at the end just to cleanse the saltiness in my mouth. In conclusion, despite my anger and my frustration and my complaints toward the anime, I still do really enjoy it nevertheless. Although I do have some complaints about this side character and their role, but because the manga is still ongoing, I step it back a little, and besides this video is already long enough. At the very least, the art style and the music in the anime are great and can let me forget the story a little bit, especially that OP. I mean, that OP. You know what? I'm gonna end it here with the OP, and you do what you have to do. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, thing, social media down below, check it out or something. You do as you please to do. I mean, we're watching it back. Just fucking wanna kill myself. Anyway, see you guys next time. Always enjoying your life despite what problem you have. Somebody think have a nice day and bye bye.